this is a really well crafted session. It fits perfectly into an hour. So once you know it, once you understand it, then it's just about motivating the members, talking them up, building their confidence, making them work as hard as they can. And it's got a great sense of fun as well, this session. So one element, warm-up. We're looking for consistency and continuity through every session. So we're trying to get the same warm-up at every location, at every session. And this gives the members an opportunity to learn the warm-up, to do it each week, to get to know each other, and they get 5 or 10 minutes to talk to each other before we then move into the dynamic session. So the layout of the warm-up is 12 steps wide, 30 steps long. And every 5 steps I put down a cone. So then the actual warm-up, we do a very simple run, a dynamic stretch and an isometric stretch. So we jog through the grid and then round the edge and back in at 50%. Then you go through a dynamic stretch. So for example, a side squat where you're going sideways, deep squat, a couple of steps, squat again. Then you come back in and then we do a hamstring stretch, which is the isometric one. So just bouncing into a hamstring and maybe accelerating off. And then the other leg and so on. Then we come back in. So you've done your run, you've done your dynamic stretch, you've done your isometric. When you get back in, we then go back into a run, but we build it from 50% sprint to a 60% sprint. Round the edge, jog gently in. When you get in, a new dynamic stretch. So this one could be facing sideways, twisting, bouncing. And then we come back in, a new isometric stretch. So this one might be a quad stretch followed by a small acceleration and then the other leg. Then you come back in, you go back into your run. So you're now 80%, so beg your pardon, 70% sprint. We need a dynamic exercise. So maybe a walking lunge with a stretch. So first off, just stretching the hips each side, and then maybe you go into a lunge with a twist. So lunging and rotating. And then further forward, you're going lunge and lift. Back in, another isometric exercise. So this time you might do, not entirely isometric, but maybe a high kick. So just stretching the hamstrings off and kicking back to get the hip flexors, and so on. Around the edge, back in, we're now into 80%. See, 80% sprint through, new dynamic stretch. This time maybe side squats the other way, or twisting the other way, or changing directions. Back in, new isometric exercise. So this is high knee over a hurdle, for example. A couple of steps, other leg. So just trying, not necessarily isometric, but just taking it a bit more gently. Come back in, 90% sprint. Back in. This time, another dynamic stretch. So this time, maybe changing direction. So I'm explosive one way, explosive the other. Trying to really get the energy up for the group now. Trying to maybe push them so they can't talk quite so much. Back in, another isometric exercise. This one could be, again, actually, we'll go back into a sprint. So build the sprint up to 100% sprints here, and then finish with the last rotational exercise, and so on. So you really need to get the whole body working, building in intensity, 3 or 4 sprints at the end. This whole warm-up should last about 12 minutes every single time. Then we come off, we circle the group up, we dynamic exercise, so just rotating the hips and twisting the upper body, getting low. And as you're doing that, you then come up and ask everyone to go around their names, so shouting their names out, so even the new people get to know each other. And then we go into a very brief description of this week's session, and I'll be explaining each of those coming forward. Guys, this has got a little bit of competitiveness, a little bit of playfulness. We're going to be motivating each other, we're going to be talking each other up, but I'm also going to be trying to create a little bit of competition between you all. It's great fun, this session. It's one of those sessions that's been really well, cleverly thought out and crafted by the trainer. Okay, Bignel cardio set. Split the group into pairs. One person does high knees fast as he can, other person hands up. He's here to motivate him. As soon as he's finished that, he drops down into treadmill. So this is Danny, he's dropping down, changing the feet over. He does 10 of those. As soon as he's finished that, into 10 squats as fast as he can. Sprints, first cone, back in. That's your 10-meter cone back in. As soon as he's back, swap it over. Jules does exactly the same. Then Danny does 15 high knees, 15 treadmills or mountain climbers, and then 15 squats. Second cone, 20-meter cone, back in as fast as he can. Jules does the same, and then it's 20 high knees, 20 treadmills, 20 squats, 40-meter cone, back in, swap it over, rest. It's really quite challenging, really quite fast. We'll just do the 10-meter cone for now to demonstrate. Ready, go, high knees, fast as you can, getting his arms working quickly, that's good. 9, 10, down, treadmills, 2, 3. So just counting on the right, 8, 9, 10. It's good, squats, 10, 1, 6, 8, 9, 10. Sprinting, it's good, 10-meter cone, back in fast. And as soon as he's back in, Jules is going, there's a line of people, they're being competitive with each other. Okay, this is the Bignel sprint. It's backward sprint and forward sprint. It's quite competitive, it's quite fun. We do 4 reps, one person, and then swap it over. So we've got Jules here on his front and Danny out there standing facing this way. I'm going to shout go. As the trainer, I shout go. As soon as I shout go, Danny can run backwards past the 40-meter cone. Danny, just turn around so you know where that is. And then, good, and Jules can pop up and try and catch Danny. From Danny's perspective, it's terrifying. Jules is bearing down on him, trying to catch him. From Jules's perspective, it's a great bit of competitive work. He's trying to catch Danny, okay? So, go! Hard as you can, try and catch him. Go on, hard as you can, Julesy. Go on, Danny, you got him. Okay, so there we got, Danny got away from him, Jules didn't. So we come back in, and when we get in, I let Danny come 2 or 3 steps forward, starting to mock old Jules a little bit, make him feel a bit uncomfortable. There's a bit of banter here, a bit of chat to each other, making it as competitive and fun as you possibly can. Good work, guys. That's it, stop. So this is the Bignel strength set. It's a pretty simple set actually. It's quite a nice sort of mindful thing. You do it, you get through it, and you move on to the next session. But what we're going to do here is we're going to come out as a group, and we're going to do 5 burpees. So down to the deck, back up, jump, 5 reps, and then 5 squat jumps, 5 of them. And then if you can, if your group's pretty fit, you do 5 or 10 split jumps, so 5 on each leg. And then just as a 3, we gently trot around the grid, so to the end, around the 40-meter line and back in. When we get back to the original cone, we do 10 burpees, 10 squat jumps and 10 split jumps, and then we jog around the whole grid again, and then we do 5 burpees, 5 squat jumps, 5 split jumps, and finish there. Could you hear me throughout? So this is the Bignel cardio rectangle. So here Danny's going to be the person working, and this is the key. He's going to push Jules to the other side of the rectangle, and then they're going to sprint the length, and then Danny, the same person, is going to push across the other side and sprint back. And the key is that Danny's got to try and beat Jules. Despite being exhausted from these, he's got to race and try and beat him to that end cone, and so on back in. Okay, we'll just give one example. So he pushes, pushes hard, and as they come around the bend, he can try and get rid of Jules if he wants, and they race to the other end. Good, Danny. And then the same again. Then when they get in, they swap the person over, so the other person's doing the pushing. And then once they've both done a pushing circuit, they then do 2 pushing circuits each, so 2 circuits before they change, and then 1 circuit each, and then rest. So really, again, quite a challenging set. Thanks, guys. So here we've got, it's called Try Heaven, and essentially it's overhead press. Jules does 10 reps, if you could, Jules. We've got cones here at every 10 meters for 40 meters. Once he's done 10 reps, he's going to flip onto his back and walk backwards to the next cone. Danny's going to be motivating him. That's good. So you walk back to the next one, Danny. Let's get out of the way. That's it. And this is absolutely brilliant for the triceps. Really good strength, really good, making them lean and strong. And now he's back onto his knees. Another 20 overhead. Were we on 10s or 20s? Another 10 overhead press. walking backwards to the next one, and so on. We do this on every single cone, and then when we get to the other end, we swap it over, the other person comes back in. You can either do 10 reps on the overhead press or 20. Personally, I prefer 20, just really challenges the members. And that'll do, thanks. So this is the Bignel, famous Bignel burpee shuttle run. It's pretty self-explanatory. As a whole line, we run first cone, so that's a 10-meter cone, back in, 2 burpees. 20-meter cone, back in, 4 burpees. 30-meter cone, back in, 6 burpees. 40-meter cone, back in, 8 burpees. Then we work back down the grid as well, so 30-meter, 6, 20-meter, 4, 10-meter, 2. And then first person to finish gets a medal. It's really about trying to get them to work as quickly as possible. Just for clarity, we'll do first cone, but no more than that. Okay, ready guys, go. First cone, back in. When they get back, they drop into 2 burpees, please, boys. That's good. 1, you see how they get low on those burpees. 2, and then they would go second cone, back in, 4. So we've come to the end of the session. We're looking to do a cool down or a stretch. A cool down, you might want to do a reverse shuttle run, so you go 100% to the longest cone and then decrease in energy as you come down. Then we're at about 55 minutes of the session. We've got a 5-minute stretch. Frankly, doesn't have to be that good. You can explain to the members while you're stretching that actually isometric stretches are best done when their muscles are cold. I tend to just do, particularly in the winter when the ground's wet and cold, I do a quick salutation to the sun, or slow salutation to the sun, with a few extra stretches pushed in. You can do any stretch you like, but it needn't be more than about 5 minutes. As I'm going through it, I'll go through it now, but as I'm going through it, I also talk to the members about events coming up and about various things that have been good about the session, that sort of thing. So I tend to ask them to legs wide, roll forward, forehead touches the grass. Obviously, you can't get anywhere near the grass, especially if you're as inflexible as I am. Then hands hit the ground, feet go back, hips go high, chin goes low. Stretch that and hold that for longer than I'm going to do it, but not too long. Then hips go high, chin high. That's good. Then I go hips high again and just walk it back until I'm hanging again between the legs. Then I look to go wide and stretch an adductor out. And if you can push them low on that one, even better. If they're struggling with this, on one knee, leg out to the side. Then I come into the middle and the other side. All the time I'm talking to them about events coming up, what's going on at training, who's done particularly well during the session. And maybe I'll do a glute stretch as well, so bring the knee across to one hand and just drop into a glute stretch. Then the other leg, and so on. After I've done both of those, I might look into an adductor stretch, so into a one kneeling side, push the hip forward, kneeling side, hand high, and rotate away from that back leg. And again, holding for 30 seconds or so. While I'm in this position, I might go into a hamstring stretch. So that's pretty much it. Maybe finishing with a quad stretch. And I always end the sessions with getting the members as a whole group to face the sun, put their hands on the back of the head, shut the eyes, 3 or 4 long, slow, mindful breaths, just trying to bring them back into the moment, trying to take the energy, the heart rate down a bit. And then we stop, if we can get them to clap, and then head home. So hopefully it's feeling really positive at the end of the session.